next presenter is Mr. Bruno Goveas. He is the Director, Cybersecurity from Akamai Technologies. Currently driving Akamai's enterprise security business in the India region. He has held various roles in sales channel, business development, marketing, and product management. So we'll have the presentation from him now.
10 minutes talking about how you can build cyber resilience in the utility sector. So
you have big ideas, and you need to be able to bring them to life online. But every second, the internet gets more chaotic. With more traffic, more cyber threats. That's why the world's most innovative companies choose Akamai. To keep experiences closer to users and threats farther away. Akamai powers and protects life online with unrivaled capacity, reach, and visibility into what's happening on the internet. So you can help people do the things they have to do and the things they love to do. And in the meantime, get what they need. Take care of themselves, take care of each other, and build a future while you keep them and your business safe. Making life online unstoppable.
all right, so that was about my company. So we broadly offer, we are a security company, we offer two broad solutions. One is cloud security and the other is data center. The focus is obviously the latter. We provide data center security solutions primarily for a lot of verticals, government, utilities, public sector. And the focus there is on minimizing ransomware. The goal of today's section is just give you a framework of how you can think about building your organization's architecture to be resilient against ransomware. And you've seen in the news, right? No industry is immune. I was actually searching hard to identify just broad news articles and not pinpoint any specific company, because the reality is, anyone can be targeted, right? It's not because somebody did something wrong or built in. Everyone is fair target. Now, to understand why this is a problem, I just want to give you a sense of how sophisticated the ransomware economy has become. There are two broad categories, right? One is the state actors, nation state. We're not worried about that. That's not actually the problem. The problem is organized crime. And it's not single individuals. Because you make so much money, it's all driven by profit. Like I think last year, Conti made about 200 million. There are so many players coming in there that they fill a specific niche in the ransomware ecosystem. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is once you understand this, the actual recommendations will make more sense, and why you absolutely need to have the right framework and the right partners in place. So let's start with this on the extreme right? So there's a first set of category, really high generalizations of what they're called access brokers. So all they do is write code to get into your system to steal your identities. That's it. They don't exfiltrate data, they don't steal, they don't encrypt. All they do is get in, remain there undetected, steal identities. And what do? Once they steal the identities? Sell it on the dark web. Then you have the middle one, right? The extreme left side, the ransomware as a service operators. So these are the guys that actually write the code to cause damage. So they write the code and they don't stop at that. They'll go for people that actually want to use the ransomware, they'll say, hey, if you're not tech savvy, I'll teach you how to install it, how to use it. I will actually give you a landing page. If you want me, I'll offer negotiation. So this RaaS is not a marketing term. Just as you have infrastructure as a service, there is absolutely ransomware as a service operators. Now the biggest problem are the affiliates in between, right? So when you hear of Conti attacks, it's not the Conti group that wrote the software. It's these affiliates that actually do it. And mind you, these are not just fly-by-night operators, students. Just like us, they've been in the industry for 20 years, know each other. They're motivated by one thing, profit. And so it's a very thriving ecosystem. and every organization is up against this economy, right? So give you an example of, everyone's probably heard of Emotet, right? This was this huge ransomware on the financial services industry. So that's an internet access broker, and the others are familiar with Conti. So this is what you're up against. The other big problem with this ransomware economy is, just look at how sophisticated they are. You guys know, right, of software companies, you'll have associated with them in some way, shape or form. You remember all these bug bounty programs, right? They have ethical hackers. Even these guys have it. Why? Because their reputation is all they have. If you sell a ransomware and it encrypts for 40% and it fails, that's gone, right? So they actually pay people to find bugs in their ransomware code. Not only that, they'll actually go find people in organizations and try to get them on their payrolls. This is very dangerous, especially in India, right? Imagine, we have such huge workforce. All they have to do is compromise 1 or 2 employees. That's how they do. These are the types of things they do. And from the outside, they're like any other organization. They have a lot of money, HR, payroll, gleaming buildings. You can see no difference. This is the scale of attackers you're up against. Lastly, before, the problem used to be, if Bruno gets attacked, oh, my online identity is stolen. That's it. I was never impacted. Now what's happening when it targets the power utility sector? It causes real pain. So they are really, really problematic, and that's why they target utilities, because they want to cause damage. They want to cause more chances of them getting profit, right? So in this scenario, no organization can expect to defend against them just by themselves, right? As security officers or practitioners, it's actually frankly irresponsible to think that we can do it. There's no way in hell. So what's the model? So from our experience of working with organizations, this is what I want you to take away, right? Zero trust came about for this reason. The point is, a breach will happen. So how do you minimize it, right? So this is why zero trust came in. You want to give least privilege access everywhere. Data center, IT, OT, user, does not matter. You need to get to this. There's no other way out. And then the other question that people keep telling is, hey, you know what? I get it. How am I doing? There's so many vendors, so many people talking about this. What the heck do I do? So let me tell you 2 ways. And then the other one is, yeah, what is this micro segmentation? It keeps coming up, going on. Everyone gets lost, and I don't blame you all. So the good news is, it's not that hard. So here's how you look at it. Okay? Before I go that, you guys must have heard this advisory, right? So y'all are aware of this. You're getting advisories to see, read that, right? Protect against phishing. Make sure zero trust access model. Protect our IoT and OT environments. Segment. So all of these mandates are also coming to you. All right? So I'm going to give you a very simple framework on how to think about it, and then I'll walk you through a potential solution as a use case. Okay? So point 1. First is entry into your network. In your case, you don't have just IT systems, you have IT and OT systems, right? You can enter in through the internet, you can enter it through the GSM, through your radio frequency, through employees. The point is, you have to, depending on, as Mr. Lakshmanan said, every organization is in a different state of maturity. There is no right solution, but the way to think about the first phase is, how do I minimize potential entry? Entry is going to happen. How do I minimize it? Right? There are all the standard solutions for the IT side. There are standard solutions for the OT side. Depending on your use case, you need to determine what you have to put. Now, breach is going to happen. Now, second is, supposing it happens, how do I minimize it? Right? This is where we need to be like, hey, lateral movement, minimize the lateral movement. Let's say something happens into one OT environment, one smart meter goes wrong, I need to minimize the spread. If I get into an IT environment, I don't want my billing system or my distribution management system or my metering system to get impacted. So the second phase is, hey, if something is in, how do I contain it? These are the true broad models that you have to think about. You definitely don't want to get to the last model, which is, an actual breach happening, right? This is what you want to avoid. So the two things, the two pillars of zero trust is not, everyone thinks of north-south, right? This is access. Hey, how do I limit entry? This a lot of people fairly do, it's well understood. Once it is in your IT, in your OT environment, how do I minimize lateral movement? This is why micro-segmentation comes in, okay? So micro-segmentation is all about minimizing lateral movement. Now the question people keep saying is, yeah, I already do segmentation. Right? Do you all do segmentation? The answer is yes. How do you do it today? How do you do segmentation today? With network, OS firewall, VLANs, ACLs, etc. That's the left-hand side. The problem with network-based segmentation today is you get limited visibility and you allow it at only port and protocol. So what do these guys do? They target services host, target an OT protocol that is allowed, then what do you do, right? So literally if you use network based segmentation, no matter how complicated and how many policies you have in your network, in the eyes of the attacker, it is essentially flat. So you need to get to a model where your visibility is at a very granular level per million. So that is the difference, right? So you have to remember to rethink firewalls. When I am saying firewalls, OS firewalls, internal firewalls, VLANs, ACLs, they are not the answer. And the reason they are not the answer is primarily because of lack of visibility. And you're tying firewalling to the OS or the infrastructure. It is IP driven. Not, attackers want you to do that, but that is absolutely not the model if you want to get to zero trust segmentation, right? So firewalls are a bad fit for this new model of zero trust segmentation. So the question is, what do you do? So obviously it's software based, right? Where you abstract the segmentation from the underlying infrastructure. And how do you do that? Let me give you a case study, right? I just want to focus on the principle. There are just three things. First one is visibility, mapping, and then control, right? And what do I mean by visibility? When you apply this micro segmentation solution, first it has to be decoupled from the underlying infrastructure, right? Any type of OT environment, any type of IT environment, you use any vendor's solutions, you have to put in the entire suite of workflows for your system to run. Does not matter. Deploy it. You have to ensure you have a system that gives you visibility of every asset, every data flow, right down to process level in your IT environment, in your OT environment. Does not matter, right? Legacy, new age, Kubernetes, legacy OS does not matter. You need to have visibility. Without visibility, you cannot control. Point one. Second is, once you understand the data flows, you can say, hey, what is the bare minimum workflow that I need to use for my business to run? There have been so many cases when we've done POCs where we found customers saying, hey, for this Active Directory, there are so many million flows, I don't need it, I only need thousands of those, right? We're actually able to demonstrate. But when you have visibility, you can say, for my business to run, I need these data flows working, nothing else. Does one smart meter need to talk to another? No, it only needs to talk to the head end. Why the hell do you need to talk to the other? Right? You need to understand, is that happening? So attacks can come from anywhere, it's not just the internet. Your employee, someone can be compromised and done it. But if you have visibility, it does not matter because you're trusting nobody. So once you understand the flows that are necessary, I'm giving just very trivial ones, right? You can set controls. And guess what? Most of these are not manually written. You should make sure you have a system where the controls are automatically generated. I think there was one, the prior session, they said, right, AI. It's done. All of these are standards, right? Every architecture is complex, but ultimately there's still standards, right? There's SCADA, there's OT, there's one system, metering system, the protocols are all the same. So the controls that can be automatically generated will all be pretty much 99% there. So make sure you have a system that can automatically say, hey, given the visibility, given what I understood of your network, this is the control I have. So then you will get the desired outcome. Every power utility company, everyone I talk to, all they care about is minimizing the operations and improving the security. This is exactly what you'll get. That's why micro-segmentation is very powerful, and that's why you're getting it in advisories, you're getting it in RBI guidelines. It's just that it's so new and it's not well understood, but the reality is solutions have matured to a point that it can be applied in organizations with very, very complex networks. And it doesn't matter when you're starting, right? It doesn't matter if you're early in the cycle or very advanced. The moment you start, you're vulnerable. You may have systems, but ultimately you have your data. So you have to make sure that when you start around your digitization journey in the power sector, that you actually implement solutions both on the segmentation side and the access side. So that's what Akamai does. We are one of the components of the security ecosystem. We work with organizations that want to adopt this type of a model to be resilient against cyber attacks. And so if you want any, to have any discussion on how we might be able to help you all as you're going through this journey of digital transformation in your industry and in your organizations, please let us know. Point one. Second is when they extort money, you can actually catch them, right? Or third is it a criminal liability, and are the security companies generating this, right? So let me take this one by one. Number one, in fact, I had a video because of the Russian war. There was a lot of Conti documents that were leaked on how the Conti entire system works. It's a beautiful doc. I actually had a video, I didn't play it because of time. Very, very scary. Now, do we have a view of where threats are coming from? Absolutely. Is it traceable? Absolutely. Now, you need to remember this. The attackers that are compromising and using machines, many of the machines of users that have no clue that it's compromised. This is what ransomware organizations do. They have very sophisticated systems where the bad guys are using means to do their effort. Everybody knows the actual victim whose machine is being used, if the case, has no clue about it. So point one is it's traceable, yes. Why is there no liability? You're right, it's criminal. Why is it that most of the attacks come from Ukraine and Russia and all of those post-Soviet organizations? Because there is a law there that says, as long as you do not affect my country, they have legally rights to go and throw ransomware. So even in Ukraine, until before the war, you can have, there are a lot of operators that operate in Russia and Ukraine and others because they have immunity. As long as they don't attack, infect a Belarus system or a Russian system, it's okay. But if they infect an Indian system, they don't have any criminal liability. Indian government can never catch. So it does not matter. That is why ransomware is a menace. You can be in China and cause havoc. So third one, traceability. That's why blockchain exists. Those guys are adept at this. Here, money laundering, even in general paper trail, you cannot catch. Good luck with catching digital systems with people that are first of all in Cayman Islands and the others, no way. And remember, with criminalization, the US government does catch crimes. They caught the Conti guys, they caught the rebel guys. But what happens is, I showed you, just like us, they're an ecosystem of people that have worked for 20 years. You catch one criminal, the people will disband, they'll re-resurrect. This is an ongoing cat and mouse game. So the fourth one is, this always comes up, right? It is a very naive thing to assume, oh, you're an antivirus vendor, you're doing antivirus. It is absolutely, we have to move past that. That is not the system, right? Remember, we're thought leaders here. There is big problems going on in the industry. And the reason this is happening is money. It's not me. My company just makes $3 billion. These guys make billions and billions. The people that are motivated are in these industries, in these countries that all they have to do is sit in, they have the brains and they know they can make money. The motivation is profit, and that is why this economy is huge. It has nothing to do with the vendors. We are, just like with everything, there are ethical hackers and there are hackers. The ethical hackers are the minority. So the security companies, right from antivirus before to now, are all vendors that are there to prevent it, right? In every ecosystem, you'll have the good guys that are a minority. So the security people are never, those are all, social media myths, if you call it. The primary reason all this is happening is money. It's easy money. Everyone's been extorting and criminalization have been there time immemorial. It's easier with the internet and it's exacerbated. So that's my answer to all 4 of your questions. We can connect later offline. If anyone has any more, so by the way, I'm a security evangelist, by the way, in Akamai. I've been in the company for 18 years. I started as a 21st employee. This is my job, right? My job, I make the internet safe. My company makes the internet safe. We are here to be, and we are one cog, right? There are many people like this, and India is on this journey. Power sector is in this major transformation. You got to start from now, because those guys are going to come after us to cause pain. But as you saw, the frameworks are very simple. We just need to get into that mindset and have it in place. There are good systems to cause pain to these attackers, and that's what our job is. And my job is to make sure their lives are miserable, just like they're making our lives miserable. All right, so let's talk when we need. Thank you.